Hello, welcome to Boardgames with Niramas. I'm Joseph, I'm here with Drako, and we are going to do the last episode here of the, well, not of the top 100, but of the top 100 that I'm doing together with Drako. It's going to be 15 games today, so it's going to be 40 down to 25. And then, of course, the advent calendar comes just after that and starts December 1st, where we will do one game each day for December all the way up to December 24th. And then it's going to be together with Mats and Andreas, my friends. So that's going to be super fun. And you probably heard me talk about that already. Another thing you probably heard me talk about is the patron page here over here. You can go and become a patron, you become a member, and you can support the channel. Drako needs more patrons, so get over there and support us. But now let's start off with number 40. At number 40, it is Monumental, which is a civilization game. It's a one of these huge games in table. It's a table hog game. So even here, when I'm playing solo, it takes up a lot of table space. So that, with that said, though, this is a really good game. Like at this stage, all the games are really great, right? This is one that you are basically, well, you have a civilization. Depending which civilization you have special powers. And then it's a deck builder with a really fun twist. So as you can see here, there's cards laid out on your player mat, or even if you don't have these really nice deluxe player mats, you put the cards out in a 3x3 grid on the table. And then you activate a row and a column. And that's where the fun little puzzle comes in every time it's your turn. Because depending on where the cards are, what effects you want to get into use, then you have to select a row and a column that works for you. After you have activated the cards, they will go to your discard pile and you will refill those spots from your deck. And then you will buy cards into your decks, which means as time goes by, you will get better and better cards in your deck, and you can cull some cards out of the deck and so on. And now the only really downside to this game, if you just pick up the base game of Monumental, then every player turn will be quite long. So because you're doing basically all of your things on your turn, and then it's the next player's turn, and that makes for a lot of downtime, which is something I don't like that much in board games, right? And so I play this on 2 at the max. And the thing is, when they released an expansion, which I also have, I can't recall the name of it now. Anyway, it added more civilizations and more fun stuff. And this is how it looks on the actual dudes on a map piece of the game. So this is one part of the game. And I have some autofocus on there, which I shouldn't have. I'm learning. Anyway, this is a few years old. So you have the dudes on the map, but to activate them, you have this deck building card activating mechanism. And yeah, so the long player turns, but they added an expansion, and in that expansion, they changed up the rules. So that instead you do, like most board games, modern board games, you do like one thing on your turn, and then it's the next player's turn. They do a thing, and it keeps going around like that. And then you pass when you don't have anything else to do. So that works a lot better. That's how you should play this game. Even if you only have the base game, you can still play it that way. You can just look that up on Board Game Geek in the sort of errata, or like the new rules for the game, because that makes the game so much better, basically. That makes it playable. but when you play with those rules, it's super good. And when I play solo, of course, that's another thing. Then you just do all your things on your turn. So then it's not an issue. Really, really fun game. I mean, the components of this one. Now, this is the deluxe edition there. But I mean, it's just such a nice game. I just love how this game plays. I love the strategy elements in it. I love this whole civilization feel, and when you play against the solo, you play against a certain civilization as well. So depending on which civilization you play against, it's going to be different. They might be more or less militaristic, and they might be, more into like purchasing new cards or building wonders, all that stuff that you expect from a civilization style game. Really good one, Monumental. Then at 39, it's Great Western Trail. Great Western Trail is by now almost one of those, for me, in my mind, is like a classic board game. It hasn't been out that long. It's 2016 it came out, but I played this so much. And this one I played this year with the second edition that came out. I really like that one. I think basically everything was an improvement. First of all, the little meeples get cowboy hats. How cool is that? That's something that I really appreciate. But yeah, the gameplay itself is very fun. It's basically just a rondel. It doesn't look like it, but it is. You're moving up your little guy up this track, and then you deliver cows, and then you start over from the bottom again, and you keep going around and around. And then what you do on each space, like there's a lot of different actions. You're trying to like get better cows, which is a little bit of deck building in there where you get new cows. That's a fun part. You can build buildings, and the buildings can also, depending on where you place them, can be important. The different effects on the buildings. Some buildings make it so that your opponents have to pay when they pass your building. Almost feels a little bit of Monopoly style there, but it actually works really nicely in this game. And there's a lot of interesting parts of this game. This game is basically a bunch of different parts and mechanics, like most board games, but the way it just flows together is just so nice. The theme and the second edition, I like some upgrades that they did. I am excited for the just came out this just recently here, the Great Western Trail Argentina, which is like the second game in a series where it's going to be a third one as well, which is the New Zealand. And yeah, I look forward to playing those other ones as well. The Argentina one is out, so I hope I get to play that soon. Really enjoy this one a lot. Great Western Trail. It might be, I heard some critique on Facebook and so on, in some forums, people saying it's too long. I never felt that way. I guess it depends on who you're playing with. And I mean, my gaming group are usually very rushy. They are trying to, get to the end game and win, and so on. Very competitive in that sense. So I never experienced that problem with this game. And if you play it on 2, I almost think it's too short. Like it goes too quickly. So a fun little story here is my friend Martin and I, we actually tried some years ago. We tried to just play it on 2, but we added the time length for 4 players, which was insane, which meant that both of us could do everything in the game, and the game was totally broken. But we had a really fun time. So yeah, really like Great Western Trail. This is, of course, 39 here. It's been higher up on my list, and I think it's been lower as well. I think it's been going up and down a little bit, and now the second edition here really, got it being fresh in my mind, and I played it recently here. And also you can play it solo now with that second edition. Well, that was something you couldn't do before. You had to do like a solo variant, like an unofficial one, but now you can actually play solo from opening the box. Really good game, Great Western Trail. Next up here we have Anachrony, which is of course this has been in my top 10. And it's still high up on my list. Even though I haven't played it in a while, I don't think I played it in last year. I got like the big box for it with all these expansions, all these cool stuff, but it just was too much for me to handle, I think. I never really got into really going through all that expansion stuff and like the new way to play solo and all that. Mostly I have enjoyed this one as a solo game. It's a really good solo game, but I mean, if we're just going to talk about the game, such a cool game. Look at those components. What an amazing game, just amazing components. The theme is amazing with like time travel, like worker placement with time travel. You can borrow stuff from yourself in the future. Really cool game, and it has a lot of interesting features that not that many board games have. Now, I think my favorite thing actually in the game, which I think some other board games have, I can't think of one right now. Tell me in the comment section if you can think of it, but it has that your workers, you can go and do an action with them. You have different workers to start off, so they are strong at different actions, which is just cool in itself. But then they also, after they've done their actions, some actions make them tired. So then they go to rest, so you can't use them the next round. You have to like spend resources or and so on to sort of freshen them up and get them back into the game, which is a really cool game mechanic there. I think that's just such an amazing worker placement idea. I wish that was in more games. I like that one so much for some reason. I also like that the theme of it is that like there's been a nuclear disaster and everything. So if you want to go to your home board and do actions in your own buildings, in your own little suburb or whatever it is, your own little city, then you can just send your little cardboard worker. But if you want to go to the main city, then you have to travel a little bit, so you have to use these really, really cool miniatures where you put the little cardboard thing in. I think that's just such a cool touch to the game as well. Yeah, wow, this game is so good. This one is a little bit long, I will say that. This is one of the longer, more complex games on my list. But if you get into it and if you play it, and especially solo here, I think it's just amazing how you sit around and do things. In this video, I'm playing with Drako, so we're playing 2 players. But yeah, really enjoy Anachrony. I hope I can get to play this one sometime sort of soon again. I was planning at some point to do another solo playthrough of it. I already have some solo playthroughs on the channel as well. We'll see if I get around to that. There's so many games out there, of course, that I do want to film. But I really appreciate the theme integration in this one. And the look of it just looks so amazing. Anachrony, great one. And then next up here is Flamme Rouge, which I haven't done a video for. I guess I could, in a sense, but it's a racing game, bicycle racing, and those tend to be better at more players than 2, of course. So, Drako and I, well, I mean, we could do a bit of this, I guess. This is just such a good game. I really love this. As this is my favorite racing style game, and the game mechanisms are really simple. So here you have your guys out there. It's very simple. You basically just have 2 decks of cards. You have 2 different riders, and then every turn you pick a card for one of them. You pick a card from the other one, and you pick them from separate decks. And then once you have that, tells you how many steps you will move on the track. But then when you used it, it's gone for the race. So as you use your good ones, you will be stuck with the slower ones at the end. And also, depending on how you end up in every sort of round, if you're in front, then you will take like wind, like you will have the wind on you, which means that you will have to take some exhaustion cards, which is really bad. So they go into your deck. And then, so you can also get like slipstream. So what you want to do is you want to end up like one space behind another player, because then you will slipstream and get a little extra, speed there. And also you will not take the wind in your face, so then you don't have to take the exhaustion card. And this is such a fun racing game. This is one of those games where, like, you can have I played a lot of times in this where we had like stand-up moments where it's like, yay, I got there first. Oh, look at this, someone made actual little miniatures with bicycles. It looks amazing. I haven't seen that before. And here's a full map and so on. Yeah, really, really fun game. I am looking forward to there's like 2 expansions that I have played for this as well. Really enjoy those as well, where like it adds like more weather and so on. But there's some kind of, I think there's an expansion coming, or I'm not sure if it's already out, but my friend doesn't have it. But yeah, there's supposed to be some kind of like a campaign game where you do multiple races and then you get like score in between. And I'm looking forward to trying that. I hope we can get to play that together in my gaming group sometime soon, and do the whole, like, maybe, I don't know, like, every time we meet up, we could do like, this is not that long of a game, but maybe we could play like one race, and then next time, keep scores going. That would be super fun. Really like Flamme Rouge. And then at 36, it's a new game on my list. This is not a new game. It's like over 10 years old, but it's War of the Ring, and this is the 2nd edition that I have played. So War of the Ring is Lord of the Rings in a box, in a sense. It's telling the story of Lord of the Rings, the novels or the movies. One player control. It's a 2-player game. It's on the longer side, but it's just amazing. One player controls the good forces, one controls the evil forces, and then you're battling it out, and you can win in different ways. So of course, Frodo tries to get to Mordor to throw in the ring. That's one way to win. Or you can win in a military way, which is usually what the evil ones are trying to do. The shadow forces, and here we have a picture here with all these. There's a lot of miniatures, and they are all different, like, factions. So you have like the elves out there, and you have like the dwarves. And it's very interesting in this game how the game starts off with basically the war hasn't started when the game starts off, which I think is a really interesting twist to this whole thing. So you have to sort of, if you're playing on the good side, you're trying to basically alert everyone to the dangers of Mordor, right? So you have to declare war or get attacked first, and then that way you become in war. So you can have situations where, like, the elves are not at war, so I can't use the elves to attack, even though I see this big, these orcs and everything, goblins coming to attack Rohan, whatever. Then the elves can't help because they are not in war yet. And you have all the characters that, all the beloved characters from the Fellowship, and you might need to send Gandalf around and, alert everyone that Sauron's forces are on the move. It's so thematic, and it's interesting. This reminds me a lot of Star Wars Rebellion that I talked about last week, which also has this, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I don't remember. And it also has this strong integration of theme and where you play out the story. But of course, it might not end up as it did in the original, in the story. And this one, Aragorn might die on the battlefield, and so on. Yeah, really fun game, and there's a lot of trying to think about, like, getting to your opponent's mind. Think about what are they going to do next, and how will I counter that. You have cards you play that have different effects. You have play cards in combat. you roll dice and you activate your troops or your units depending on what dice roll. There's so many good aspects of this one. It's on the heavier side, and it's a lot of learning to do, but I really appreciate the summer. Back in the summer here this year, my friend Keith taught me this and played it with me a few times, and really enjoyed it. I look forward to playing this more. This is one that I might make a playthrough of. Tell me in the comment section if you want me and Drako to go ahead, and I guess Drako would have to be the hobbits, right? You would have to be the good forces, Drako. You don't want to be the evil ones. So I could handle the evil ones, I guess, and yeah, we could do that. I mean, it's a long game, so it would be a lot of work to make a playthrough of this. Maybe, I don't know, on a live stream, that would be too much work. Maybe like make a playthrough but put it in like 3 episodes, something like that, that would be fun. War of the Ring really impressed me, and this has been on like Board Game Geek top lists for a long time, and it's one of those games that I really been wanting to play, and I finally got the chance this year. So yeah, it made it far up here on my top list after just, I think I played like 5 or 6 times, but it's such a good game. I mean, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, right? So this just was perfect game for me here, and I, even though I'm not a big war game style game fan, but this one has so many layers to it. It's not just about, oh, I attack you and I roll some dice. There's so many layers to strategy and tricking each other. Like, oh, I might attack here, but I don't really care how it goes. I'm just attacking it so that you don't look over there, and so on. Really interesting one. War of the Ring. And then at 35, it's Tainted Grail. This is a, big campaign game. Very much story driven, a lot of nice components and Kickstarter stuff, bling. This is a game that I painted almost all the miniatures for this one. I haven't painted the expansion stuff yet. I do have the expansions as well, and I did a playthrough for this one that it just went very long, the playthrough series, and I don't think I ever finished it because I think I don't know if I died, but yeah, it's a hard game. This is a solo playthrough here. There are a lot of spoilers, obviously, a lot of story and so on in that playthrough series as well, and that's always an issue with these kind of campaign games. So this is a thematically very dark game, I would say. I mean, there's a lot of nasty monsters and a little bit of horror stuff in there, and a lot of yeah, it's quite rough when it comes to the theme. I wouldn't play this with like kids or anything like that. It is a Tainted Grail, it's a dark story of the knights around the round table, all that. You're not playing as a hero, which I think is cool in this one. You're playing as like like the backup team, like the heroes have already lost, and then you're trying to come in later and find a solution to, like, there's a lot of mystery stuff going on in this game. I can't really speak of those because that would be spoilery. But yeah, really cool game. I have the expansions as well, which are basically, there's like 3 expansions, and one of them is like a prequel to the main story here, and then 2 of them are taking place after this one. And I am really planning to. I invested a lot of time in painting this and getting everything sleeved and ready, and I am going to get back to doing another solo playthrough series of this with another character and with one of those expansions, and I want to play through the whole thing. It's still on my shelf and I won't leave it. I really love this game. There's so many cool concepts in this game. The whole battle system is amazing, where, well, you have like 2 different decks. So you have like a diplomacy deck and a combat deck, and depending on when you face some kind of challenge, a lot of times you can choose. Do you want to fight someone, or do you want to try to debate with them or persuade them? And depending on what you choose, you have 2 different decks, and you build those decks. It's a deck builder as you play through the campaign, but you also, in the actual combat, you're trying to link different symbols to each other. It's hard to explain by words like this, but if you're curious to see more, that you can find the video. Of course, there's a link in the description of this video to my playthrough where I show how that works. But yeah, really good system. The only downside I would say to this game is that sometimes during the campaign, you go through like a complex selection of choose your own adventure things, where like, oh, I want to go this way, and something happens, and I choose what approach will I have. And then it can end up in, well, now roll the die and see if you succeed. And that's just boring to me. Like, you can invest a lot of work and then you fail because of 1 die roll. I think that is... I mean, if it wasn't for that, this game would be in my top 10 for sure. So I think that's a little bit sad, but overall I don't mind it too much. When I play it solo, I might even cheat at some points and be like, okay, I'll spend a resource and just get to a reroll or whatever, because I'm not gonna die here after like 15 hours of gameplay. I mean, you can do whatever you want, I guess, when you play solo, right? So yeah, but the core system here and the whole story, the theme and the immersion, so good. Tainted Grail is amazing. I need to get back to playing it again soon. Really need to. Draco loves this one as well because of those cool miniatures, right? Really well made miniatures as well. Top quality miniatures, and it was really fun painting these. Great one. Anyway, let's head to the next one. And then at 34, we have something totally different. This is a, in some ways dry Euro. It's Ultimate Railroads, or Russian Railroads, as this game was called to start. This hasn't been on my list, my top 100 before, and the only reason it is now on my top 100, quite high up as well, is because the Ultimate Railroads that were released last year, where they took Russian Railroads and they combined it with like 3, I think, American, Japanese, and something else. German Railroads. So now there's a bunch of stuff for this game, and these expansion. Like I played the German one. I really like that one. It makes every player board, or like you get asymmetrical as you play. You pick up stuff and then change up your tracks. Normally, I'm not a big fan of these kind of like train route or route building games. But in this one, it's kind of abstracted. It's more like it could have been a game about anything, really. The theme doesn't really matter. But what you do in the game, it's a worker placement game where you have a lot of workers, and some places need you to place like 3 workers, or one or 2 or 3 or 4, I think. Like, because the board is really tight. So when you try to go do your actions, it's really tight, and especially I like this one in like 3 or 4 players as well, because it's the tightness of the board. I really enjoy that, and like the agonizing action, like, oh, I really need to get that action now, but someone takes it and I need to find another way to build my tracks and all that to score points. And it's a pretty interesting game in that sense as well, because it's point salad in a sense, and it's kind of crazy. Like the first round you might score like 10 or 15 points. Then the 6th round you score like 110 points. So the escalation of how you build up basically a point scoring engine. So like it all accumulates on top of each other. So like if you score 15 points the first round, you're gonna score 15 next as well, plus whatever you also added during the second round. So that is that can be a little bit swingy in the sense that if you're new to this game, I know the summer we played it, and had Mats in there, and he hadn't played it before, and I think it was a little bit of a shock for him when like Andreas all of a sudden he scored 100 points like in the penultimate round. So that could be a bit rough, but I mean, if you play this game a few times, it's really, really cool, and it's really like I would say base Russian Railroads that I played it like 6, 7, 8 years ago. That wouldn't make it into my top 100 because it's so. I mean, I played on Board Game Arena a bit as well this year, but it's so like samey. Like it's the same thing every time you play, sort of. There's like a few different main strategies to pursue, but it gets very samey. With the expansions here, though, so much variation is added, and you different ways to think, different ways to strategize. Really good how they made that Ultimate Railroad. So yeah, so it made it quite high up on my list here as a first entry in there, but it's a game that I have played for years, of course. So then we have number 33 is The Networks. The Networks has been on my top 100 list for I think like 5 years or something like that, since it came, I think like the year after it came out. It's such a good game. I really like this one. This is one of those games where it's like mechanically it's like a Euro, sort of, but I like the game mechanism for this as well because there's like open draft, which is something that I really, really like. If you know other open draft games, tell me in the comment section. I want to find more of these. I love open drafting games where like you're sitting there and you need like, oh, I want this card, I want that card, I want that card, but I can only pick one, and then it's someone else's turn, and it's open. I like that. I mean, I like Seven Wonders style as well, where you have them in your hands, you pick one, and then you pass them on. We do that in like Terraforming Mars, and I like that, but I like this even better because it's open. You see everything out there. You know, it's so yeah. So in this one, you're running a TV network, and there's a lot of humor in this game. And some people would say, "Well, it's only fun the first time you play." For me, it's fun every time I play. I'm always sitting there, like in the middle of my Euro brain, going like, "Oh, I need to do this to get to that and get to that, so I get a lot of points." In the middle of that, I'm like, "Oh, this is a really funny name for this TV show." Like they, made a joke out of real life TV shows, and they made a joke, and you put, like, yes, you can see here, you put up 3 shows, but you put them at different time slots, at different categories. You get like ads on them. You hire stars to be on the shows to get more views, and views are points in this game. Yeah, so much fun. And it also has an expansion that I really enjoy as well, which CEOs, something like that, I think it's called, or corporate something, which is really cool. I think it has, like, everyone gets an asymmetrical network, so you very asymmetrical in some cases. I think that's really cool. One thing that it adds a new type of cards, the mogul. I don't know how to say that. Mogul cards, which is cool, but it's really weird there because, like, this game looks nice. It has this like cartoony artwork, and those mogul cards look like something out of MS Word. It just looks super boring and dry. I don't know why that is the case. Minor detail. I like everything about this game. I mean, that's why it's so high up on my list here. Such a good game. If you haven't seen this before, check out the playthrough and try it out when you get the chance. The Networks. And then at 32, this is the game that I play most, like time-wise, last year. This is the game I played the most because I played on Board Game Arena over and over. It's Kingdom Builder, which is it's a really ugly game in a sense. Like the actual board game, it's pretty ugly, and like I remember playing this the first time I played. I was like, this is so boring. Like I don't get it. It's like this is not a typical game for me. It's abstract. There's like basically no theme, and it's a lot of like, I get to, like, it's almost like chess-esque in this game because you have some goals you're going for, and then every time it's your turn, you just draw a card, and then that's what you can build on. And as I played this a lot, and I made it like pretty high up on those Board Game Arena rankings on this game. I played like over 1,000 games of this on Board Game Arena over the years. I mean, I have like all my standard strategies, and I can like counter, I can block people, I can see when they are doing things, and it's almost like I played it competitively, which is something I usually don't do with board games. But I don't know, for some reason, just got stuck with me, and it had to be here on my list. Now, Kingdom Builder itself, there's not too much to say about it. But one thing to say is it's set, like you have those map pieces. So when you play the board game, you shuffle them, with, and then you put them out. But it's like set. This map piece over here always has this kind of bone. I don't know, the tavern. Like always have the tavern on it. It's really cool how they made another game now, and I'm gonna click it just to show. This is Winter Kingdom that came out like 2 years ago, where it's way more modular. And I just got this. I just bought this actually, and I am going to make a video together with Drako of that. And I haven't made a video of Kingdom Builder yet for some weird reason, but I am going to make a video soon with Winter Kingdom, so that's going to be fun playing with Drako and see how that works with the modular things. And I think I am going to love it, unless they changed up too much from the Kingdom Builder. But if you have played Winter Kingdom, tell me in the comment section if that was good and if it's similar to Kingdom Builder. So yeah, Kingdom Builder, my number 32. Now let's head to 31. So at 31 we have Spirit Island. Spirit Island is a cooperative game that is it has a special spot in my game collection, or in my top 100 list, in a sense, because it's one of those games where, like, this is a cooperative game that is very complex how you play it. I love it solo. I love to play two-handed solo, which is one of this video. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is a video where I played with Drako. It's one of the most it's one of the hardest videos I ever made. This was a few years ago, of course, as well, but just the complexity of helping Drako out and planning two sort of spirits turns and everything is really a challenge, and I do like that a lot. I like playing this solo two-handed. But it's also a game that I can play with my friends. I can play this on 2 or 3 and so on with my friends. I even play this on 4 players, even though I prefer the lower player counts because, again, complexity-wise. But it has a very fixed structure. So, like, your your choices and what you do on your turn is very complex, and how you combine cards and effects with each other. But the structure of the game is very set. It's very easy to predict or like see what's going to happen and so on. And that combination works very well for me. So, and this bunch of different like expansions for this one, the Branch and Claw, the Jagged Earth. I haven't played those. I should, because I love this game, right? But yeah, it's one of those things where like I don't know, I guess it's, lack of time and too many good games and all that, but it's one of the things where I really enjoy Spirit Island as it is. So like I want to play the expansions because it's cool to get more fun stuff for it, but I don't feel like I need to. I don't feel like this game, there's other games where I really felt like, oh, this game really needs an expansion, right? Which I don't really feel with Spirit Island. But of course, I don't play it like every day either. If you play it a lot, I guess you really appreciate those expansions, right? So let me know in the comment section and so on if you play the expansions, and like, do you need them? Like, do you go back and play just a base game, or are you always playing with the expansions? That's interesting. And again, good solo game, good cooperative game on more than one player, but then again, maybe not a 4, unless everyone knows it very well. And yeah, really cool theme as well. I like the theme, I like the components, I like everything about this game. Just so good. Spirit Island. Then at 30 we have Undaunted, and I put down Undaunted Normandy here as the game, even though in the video here I am playing with Undaunted Reinforcements, which is an expansion where you can play solo, which is really, really good. I really think this is really cool. There's also Undaunted North Africa and Undaunted Stalingrad, which is coming soon here, just in a few weeks, and I am really looking forward to that one. That's like a bigger box, and yeah, it's gonna be super fun to play that one. So basically it's the same game system in all of these, but then the reinforcement box is like adding reinforcements, it's adding more things to both the Normandy game and the North Africa game, and it also adds a new bigger box where you can fit everything. And you can also play solo. And then I'm not sure how that's going to work with Stalingrad, if it's going to have solo in there from the start. I don't know that. I hope so. But yeah, really cool deck builder. This is this is something out of the ordinary for me, because I'm not a big World War II fan or war games in general as a theme, right? But this one just works so well. It's a 2-player game, one side versus the other one, and your deck building, and it's I think that's where this game shines for me, is the game system. It's so good, where you're recruiting more troops into your deck, you're drawing every turn, but then you have to like spend one of your cards to fight for initiative, to decide who goes first, which can be really important. And so the better troops have higher numbers, but then if you spend it for initiative, then you don't get to, of course, activate that troop. So the tokens out on the board, they are your troops, but they activate by playing your cards. And then as you recruit new troops, they go into your deck. But then if someone if I'm playing against Drako and Drako is shooting one of my troops, then that card is gone. I can't activate that troop again. If I lose all the cards of that type, then that whole squad is gone and the actual token is removed from the board. And it has basically you can win by like killing everything, but most of the time it's like objective driven. So it's like if you played Battlefield or something like that, you're trying to control spots on the board in order to score points to win. And it's a little bit of story in there, like actual battles that they reenact from the World War II. And yeah, I think it's just very well made, and it's the feel of how you build your deck, how you play your cards, how you implement your strategy. It all just comes together really, really well. Again, the fighting is rolling a 10-sided die, and depending on how far away you are, depending on which troop you're using and so on, then you need to roll a certain number in order to get a hit. Or you might be, sniper rolls 3 dice and so on. Rolling dice to get a result, it's not always that fun, I guess, but it works in this game. It works because the main part of the game is the whole strategy around how you build up your deck and all that, which is, yeah, just really good one. Really look forward to Stalingrad here. I hope I'll get a copy from Osprey Games here, the publisher, sometime soon, and I look forward to showing that on the channel as well. So I have few different, I think I have 3 different playthroughs of this against Drako here, where we played like the different versions of this. So yeah, Undaunted, really cool game system. Then at 29, this is a game system again. I'm ranking multiple games in one slot here, so it's Pandemic Legacy. And this is just my spoiler-free unboxing in the background, so don't worry. Of course, it's a legacy game, which means it's a campaign game that changes as the game goes on, which means it's pretty much impossible to talk about this because you will spoil things for people, and that's no fun. So I will just talk in general about this game system. So Pandemic, of course, as you probably know, a very successful, famous, loved board game. Came out way before the actual pandemic that we had, where you're trying to, go around the board and, fight these diseases. In Pandemic Legacy, you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it in with like a story that is really well made, really good story. In this one, the first came to season 1, then season 2, and then this one season 0, which is a prequel to it story-wise. And in this one, it's not just about curing diseases, it's about like the Cold War and stuff like that. So yeah, really fun. I play this both with friends and with Drako in this case, and sort of helping Drako out. It's sort of like playing the solo two-handed, of course. And it works very well in either case. Really enjoy this. I mean, the basic of Pandemic, the basic system of what you do in Pandemic is not that exciting to me. Like, oh, you get 4 actions on your turn. Like you see here, you can drive, you can fly, all that. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Pandemic, the base Pandemic board game. But these legacy games are amazing. I love this legacy aspect of the games. It's so much fun. You get to open like boxes, open like envelopes, all the secret stuff. That's what I really like about this. I love legacy games. It's like when when you were a kid, right? And you're opening like, Christmas gifts or whatever. It's just so exciting. Like, oh, something happens and things change and you have to adapt and like you explore the map, and it's so much fun. And really well made legacy games. There's other legacy games. There's another legacy game, especially coming later up on my list here, that I do like more as game in itself, but the legacy system Pandemic really done that well. So can really recommend these. I mean, for like solo or 2 or 3 or 4 players, Pandemic Legacy is an experience. Most of all, it's a game, but it's like an experience that you share with someone, or you do it on your own, having a great time doing it. So yeah, that's it. Let's head over to number 28. And at 28, it is This War of Mine, which is a special board game in many senses as well. It's a huge one to start off with. It's like it's a campaign game in a sense, but one campaign is like maybe 3, 4, 5 hours. It's not that long. It builds on the PC, the digital game, This War of Mine, that I really liked a lot, played that a lot. This is a special game in many ways. It's like you're civilians during a war. It's a cooperative game. You're trying to survive. It's very dark. It's very grim. The story pieces. This is not something you should play with kids at all. It's not something that I would have played this year either, because it was too close to reality in Europe right now. But I mean, the game itself is really solid in its way of telling stories and giving you experiences. And I said this before it's been on my top 25 or top, it's 28 now, but it's been in the top of my list for a good while. And it is an experience. I mean, some people would claim that board games are a piece of art, right? So it's not just entertainment. It's also an experience. It's like reading a good novel. Sometimes you read a good novel that is really dark and grim and terrible, but it's an experience. And as you read it, or as you watch a movie, or as you play a game, you put yourself in another world, in another situation, in someone else's boots, right? So, and I think that is very good for us as humans to do that, to sort of go into that, experiencing how other people have it, and not just people that are doing fun, crazy adventures. It also people that are in real trouble. So I think this has a spot in the board gaming world, but it's not like, it's very different from a lot of other board games. I mean, I can play, I don't know, if I'm playing most board games, it's just like a fun activity. This is more, this hits me more deeply, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it's just that it has its place. It's not something I want to play every week and so on. But yeah, really, really good one. Now again, it's just like Tainted Grail, just like a lot of these like stories-based games. There's some die rolls in there that just determines the outcome. I think it's fine though for this one. I mean, it's things are going to happen randomly. Like how cold is it gonna get? How hard will a raid hit you? I mean, it should be random, right? It shouldn't be something you can plan for. So, well, you can plan, you can prepare in some sense, but yeah, I don't mind the randomness in that sense that much in this game. So yeah, really good one, this War of Mine. But again, special one. This is not something you want to play if you're just going to sit around and have a relaxed board game evening. I think you should take this game a little bit more serious in that sense. And then at 27, it's Sulkin, or Sulkin the Mayan calendar. This is a this is a very like Euro game. Not much theme really. There's like a setting for it, but there's not much theme or anything like that going on. Wow, that's a lot of zooming. But anyway, this has tracks you climb up on, you're getting resources, you need to feed your workers. The main thing with this game, and it's actually like risen on my list again. It was been on my list before, but then it's risen again. This is an old video, sorry. It's because I played it on Board Game Arena as well. I really enjoyed it there as well. But I like the physical form because you have this wheel as you... Let's see, it's the time for it. I don't know if I'm going to do it in the video now. Yeah, here we go. You spin the cogs and then all the small cogs. It's so cool. I love stuff like that in board games. So you're putting out your workers, your little cylinders on a spot, and as a turn goes by, or like a round goes by, you spin. What am I doing? You're not supposed to spin it back and forth. I don't know what I'm doing in this video. And then the little worker, the little cylinder, moves. And the further you wait, the better reward you're going to get. Because one action, like on your turn, you can place workers or you can pick them up and get them back. They don't come back automatically. So you're waiting, and then at some point you will pick them back up. And this, I painted these the wheels here as well. So it doesn't look like this if you pick it up. But it's pretty easy to paint these, and it looks nice. Really fun game. And again, it's on BGA as well if you want to try it out. It is on the heavier side. There's a lot of heavy decisions and planning and strategy, and you always feel like pressure in this game. Like, oh, I need so many things, but I can't get them all. Like, what am I supposed to go for at a certain moment? I do like the expansion a lot for this as well. I think it's called Tribes and Prophecies, where you add this little sideboard and you get asymmetrical powers, and you can sort of prophesize and see things that will happen. So it's like an event thing that's going to happen, but you get to prepare for it, which I don't mind events in Euro games, but it has to be in that way that you see them coming so you can prepare for them. Then it's fine. Yeah, really cool one. Sulkin. I do want to play this in physical form sometime soon again with that expansion, because it's really solid. And then at number 26, it's a 2-player only game, and this is like my second favorite. I'm not going to mention the other one that comes later, but this is my second favorite 2-player only game. This is really cool. This is Targi, and Targi is you could say a worker placement game for 2. It has a very interesting system. It's pretty abstract. You have cards out on the... Let's see if this is better. Maybe there you go. So you have these cards out here, and then you place your workers. You have 3 meeples, you place them on the outside of this grid, and then you also, so you get to do the actions or get the resources that you place them on, but then you also get the intersections in between. So you want to be on the column and the row, and then whatever they meet, that's something you also get to do. And you're trying to buy some of these cards to build like a grid in front of you, a tableau, like 3x4, and you're trying to get certain types of cards. The cards have cost, and you need to gather resources. You can't have too many resources at the end of your turn, because then you have to discard down. So there's a lot of interesting planning going into this game, and I really enjoyed this one so much. I just played it the other day with my friend Andreas. I taught him the game. That was the first time he played, and I managed to win on the second tiebreaker, which was amazing. He's really good at games, so I was happy that I won that one. Yeah, it's really good 2-player game, and it has an expansion that I have played once, and I don't know like if I like it or not. Like, I liked it like because it's fun to have new things for the game, but at the same time it makes it so that the game is less tight. Like, the board is less tight because you go anyway, you like normally, so each player has 3 workers, right, as I said, And then, like, if I'm placing on the, like, in the top middle, then you can't place on the opposite side of that grid with your work on that turn, because I'm blocking the whole column. So that makes it so with the base game, whoever goes last, and you keep going back and forth on turn order, but whoever goes last doesn't have, like, only has like 2 options really if you want to get like maximize. Anyway, with the expansion, you add like separate cards on the side that you can go and do actions on, which makes the main part of the game less tight. I'm not sure if I like that or not, but it was fun to try the expansion, and I am going to play that again at some point for sure. So Torgi, really, really good 2-player game. This again on Board Game Arena. You can play this as well if you want to try it out. It's in there, and I played it a bunch there as well, and really enjoyed it a lot. And at 25, the game that just missed the advent calendar. Sadly, one game had to do that, right? So at 25, it's Suburbia, and Suburbia, great game. I mean, it's just such a good game. Here I have the deluxe Kickstarter thing edition there as well. You don't need that, but it does add a lot to the game. And in Suburbia, you're building a suburb, and it's like a SimCity style game. Really enjoy this one a lot, and it has different expansions, adds different tiles, and these. I really like these borders. I think that's my favorite expansion for this. And you shouldn't play with all the expansions though. We tried to do that, and then basically that kind of breaks the game, because you still have a certain amount of tiles depending on the number of players, and if you have too many expansions in there, then you're not going to really find the tiles that makes it so there's synergies between the different tiles, because that's why this game is a lot of fun as well, because there's like, I don't know, like a classic one is just like if you build a restaurant, then someone else might build a butchery, and then like they will get extra income because there's restaurants that they can sell the meat to, right? Really, really good system as well. With like, you have 2 tracks. You have income of money, and Luna's in this video because it's from Best Hero Games, yeah. And so you have income of money, and then you also have a track where basically how popular, what's it called, reputation, where people want to move into your suburb. So that's points, and you have to manage those 2. It's like a balance back and forth between those 2 a lot of times. Really, really good city building game, tile laying game, and just combo wombo stuff as well here in Suburbia. All right, so, and yeah, now we've done the 75 games, the 100 to 25, and now we're going to get started with the advent calendar, where we're going to do 24 down to 1.
Hey, come on. We want to join as well. We usually do this thing together. Come on.
Where did you guys come from?
We came from the indoor here.
Yeah, we've been sitting outside.
Oh, you've been here the whole time?
Yeah. It's really cold though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't turn on the heat in those rooms. So yeah. All right. So yeah, that's great. Welcome to
Top 24.
And Andreas.
Yeah, I'm Andreas.
he's top 24.
Yeah.
I'm top 23.
And Mats.
Mats.
And yeah, Drako looks really happy. We are so excited to have you here, guys. And now, so starting just in a few days here, December 1st, we are going to talk about the 24 games. Our favorite 24 games, 1 per day, all the way up to Christmas Eve. That's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Look forward to that. So don't miss that. December 1st, we will get started. See you.